Hello and welcome to another edition of Real Men Feel. I am your host, Andy Grant. With me, as always, my co-host, Alpio Hunter.
Hello.
Hi, Alpio.
Hey, how's it going?
Excellent. Let's see. We were just talking. We feel like we've been doing this show longer than we actually have. This is our what did I say?
Fifth?
It's our fifth show. Yeah. So we started this in February was the first one. Mm-hmm. And then in March, we decided, I think our idea was to do this once a month, and we liked it enough. Now it's weekly.
Yep.
But it's the notion to have open communication, open space, to encourage the fact that real men feel. And I don't really care what you feel. Happy, sad, angry, upset, shameful, guilty. Just let yourself feel.
Yep.
So this week we're going to dive into the notion of male stereotypes and which male stereotypes are we just freaking sick of as men. And so would you like to open up? What are you most sick of hearing as a male stereotype?
I am most sick of hearing that men care only about two things, sports and the other obvious thing. We'll talk about that one in a moment. I want to talk about sports because honestly, in my circles, all of the guys that are in my circles, yes, they enjoy watching a good game, getting together with buddies and watching a good game. Yes, they do have their favorite sports teams, myself included. But we are not obsessed with it. We're not constantly talking about sports. We're not constantly talking about, the results of last night's game, the bad ref call, or, the stats of this player or that player or anything like that. We don't give a flying yahoo about fantasy leagues or anything like that. It's something that we're aware of. It's something that we enjoy kind of more in a social setting, but we're absolutely not obsessed with it. So it drives me crazy when I hear people say, oh gosh, all men, they only care about sports and sex.
And it's pretty much, we can narrow a lot of it down to anytime you're saying all men, anything. You've gone into a stereotype. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. And it's, there's probably there's some truth in like every stereotype. But you must have seen a few guys do something before you assumed all guys do it. But for me, like I had season tickets for the New England Patriots for 10 years. I've been to two Super Bowls. I would talk football, but I also talk lots of other things. Yeah. And the older I've gotten, I gave up my tickets. I've cared less. And it's really as I've become more spiritual, as I've been more interested in personal growth, I've cared less about watching sports. I'd rather go live my life than watch someone else live their life.
Yeah, that's exactly how I've tended to approach things as well. That my attitude mirrors yours. There was a time that every time that I would be invited to go watch, I never went out of my way to actually buy tickets to, for instance, Utah Jazz or whatever, but I still would go. Anytime I was invited, yes, absolutely. You have a ticket, fantastic, I'll take it. When I worked for a large multinational that had a suite at the arena, every time that there was an opportunity to go, yes, I was there. And now, like you, as I've gotten more spiritual, more focused on living my life, enjoying my life, I don't have to live vicariously through anybody else. I don't have to live vicariously through the sports teams or anything like that. I just live and love and enjoy it. Yeah. So it's much more fun that way.
Yeah. And even, I'll speak of Tom Brady since I'm in New England, but the biggest sports stars aren't hooked on their sports. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady doesn't watch football. If he's not playing, he's not watching it. It's a job. He's off having fun doing other things.
Yeah, exactly.
So many NFL players I hear about, they don't watch the Super Bowl if they're not in it, right? It's just it's just heartbreaking to watch someone else be in there. They go do something else.
In fact, there's a big opera star. In fact, another stereotype that men don't like cultural things. Cultural as in, like, for instance, going to the symphony, going to the opera, or anything like that. There was an opera star who, famous baritone, and his favorite thing to do was not listen to opera. He liked to listen to heavy metal. That was his favorite form of music. But super famous opera star. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like once something becomes your job, if it was also your only interest, you'd become extremely one-dimensional and probably very bored.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, stereotypes are boring.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. It's much more interesting to meet people and, smash all the stereotypes they might have of you.
I love smashing stereotypes.
Yeah.
So what's the one that drives you crazy?
the big one that comes to my mind, and I don't think Blab has ratings, and it's our show, so mine is that guys will fuck anything, and if you're not willing to fuck anything, then you're not a guy. And that, especially growing up, that was one that was really disturbing and distressing.
Yeah,
because I've had just girls who are friends, and now women who are friends, and there can be no sexual thoughts or attraction, and there can, but there's just the notion that if you're not going for it, if you're not trying to like nail everybody, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, or you're gay. Yeah, I've faced that one before, and yeah, no, I'm right there with sports and sex, and you just got the other one. It's like if you're not fucking them, if you're not doing this, it's that one will drive me batshit crazy too.
Yeah. And probably maybe it is the combination. It's that the stereotype is that males treat sex as a sport.
Absolutely, yes. And while, again, that might be a generalization, there are enough examples that perhaps all of us have witnessed to a certain extent that, yes, it can be true. And it also can be a cultural thing as well. I mean, I definitely tell you from, having my feet in two different cultures, the American culture as well as the Latino culture, that in Latino culture, yes, women are objectified even more so than they are here in the United States. Throughout Latin America, women are very much looked at as being, even more objectified and more of a sexual object. And yeah, so in some countries, it is, in fact, throughout Latin America, it's getting to be a less common practice, fortunately, but, one of the rites of passage would be for a father to take his son down to the local whorehouse for his first sexual experience. And fortunately, they don't hear of that as much anymore. And it certainly depends on which social circles you are in as well. But yeah, so that's something that I personally feel like it's good to be able to dispel that. Yeah. It's nice to be able to say that, of course, now people can say that, as a gay man, that, yeah, of course I'm going to have lots of female friends. And all the labels that go along with that as well. But we have lots of mutual friends who have many straight male friends who actually do have plenty of female friends, and there's nothing sexual there at all. So yes, it's very possible. And you are certainly a perfect example. One of our guests who's watching right now is another great example of somebody who has lots of female friends, but there's nothing sexual there. They are just friends. Right. And they genuinely appreciate.
One of the things, and kind of both of these stereotypes, and perhaps in most stereotypes, kind of the men that fall into and live a stereotype, I believe it's because they aren't willing to feel. It's easy to talk sports, keep that kind of neutral buffer zone, and get upset and have all your emotions be because of something on TV or something on the playing field. And it's easier to just see sex as a sport or an activity and deny any emotional involvement. Exactly.
In fact, it's usually that objectification of anybody as nothing but some worthy of just having sex with is absolutely a complete disconnect from our feelings and that squeamishness. And again, that is another stereotype, which is that the purpose of this program, real men don't feel. Real men are the Vulcans of Star Trek. They are robots. They are completely emotionless. And, when you start to actually express your emotions, it's like, yes, I have seen those situations. I've been in those situations where people start to get like really awkward and uncomfortable and so forth. Well, you know what? Let's start tearing down those barriers. Let's start, stepping out and smashing those stereotypes and saying that, yeah, it's okay to actually talk about what it is that you're feeling in this particular moment, and not just say, "Love you, man," and and then kind of make a big joke out of it. Yeah, you can say, "Yeah, I love you, man," and really mean it.
Yeah, I have friends, and we tease about this all the time. The one friend of mine that I've known since high school, who was the first to say "I love you," will only say it drunk. We all get together and we're camping, and as soon as he's the person, "I love you guys," and if we tell him, "Oh, I love you too," he gets all like tense or doesn't like to be reminded that he said he loved everybody the night before and things like that. But
And I love what Craig said. He said, great job, you, Andy, for drawing the connection between sports and sex.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever said that out loud. So it took this, container. And that's why I love, showing up here with some sort of vague topic and see where it takes us. But yeah, it's treating everything like a game, like a sport, like it's just an activity, and it is. You deny, and that's what's bizarre, that so many guys are more willing to be emotionally involved in a sport than in another human being.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's sad.
It is. Yeah. And again, it's that whole objectification thing. And it doesn't necessarily have to be of a person. You can objectify a ball. And the word objectify, you're basically putting more emotional investment in an object versus a person. Yeah.
And a lot of that has got to be as a defense. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll love this event where I'm allowed to go on sports radio and express how much I'm mad and hurt by this game, as opposed to hurt by, the date I can't get or the relationship that's falling apart.
Or more so, and all that ties into the greater umbrella, which is the perception that I don't want to be perceived as anything less than a real man.
Right. Again, that's why, take ownership. If you don't feel like you're being a real man, then frickin' redefine what being a real man means.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you can make it whatever definition that you want. Yeah. And because you're the only one who knows who you are. And as long as you're sitting there and letting other people define who you are, then you're never going to be comfortable in your own skin. You're never going to be able to truly appreciate yourself and be in that space that you want to be, which is, content, happy with your life, and doing the things that you want to do.
Right. When I come across women that see me speak or read a book I've written or something, and they'll kind of use me as an example to complain more about whoever they're with. They're saying, "Oh, most guys are not like you. My guys, they don't listen. They don't talk about how they feel." I'm like, well, if you're with someone that doesn't want to talk about how they feel and they don't listen to you, then maybe it's just you're with the wrong person. Instead of, and again, that's probably easier to say all men are this way, as opposed for me to give up on the one I'm with and go find one that is a way that I want to be with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easier to generalize something than it is to take responsibility for one's own life and for one's own choices. And I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm saying that as a very simple, basic, fundamental principle of how everything operates, and that is we do create our own lives. And whatever it is that we are focused on, whatever it is that we keep on saying, and this is, you and I both being infinite possibilities trainers, certified infinite possibilities trainers, we know this, we do this in our classes, and we speak about it frequently when we're doing infinite possibilities classes, which is thoughts become things.
Right. Yeah. Any stereotype you are sure of, you will keep seeing evidence to reinforce that.
Absolutely, because it is one of your core beliefs. And as long as you continue to repeat it and express it as an opinion and everything else, it will continue to be around because that's the filter that you're looking at through life. So, should we go into more stereotypes?
Yeah. What's your next on your hit list?
Oh, gosh. Let's see here. My big one was the sports and the sex thing, to be honest. Those are my two big ones.
Are there specific ones about being a gay man that have a stereotype just tied to that?
Yes. That all gay men are effeminate. All gay men only like to be, hair designers or makeup artists or, do girly things. Which I say bullshit. I mean, absolute bullshit. I have known some extremely masculine gay men who are car mechanics, who are, kick-ass lawyers, who are, you just blow the lid off of, the stereotype of the gay man. And yes, it's true that within the LGBT community that it is as diverse as society itself. Yeah, you do have the really over-the-top, outrageous feather boa wielding, high heel sporting men who go out there and, they do it for shock value more than anything. But at the same time, you have some top elite athletes that are out there that are the epitome of society's image of the perfect straight man, that they're gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that one does kind of grate on me. Yeah.
So that's still out there.
It is. It is.
Right. Now, are there times you like to sing your show tunes and put on your boa, or just never?
Never liked show tunes. Absolutely despise boas. And the only time I will do a boa is if it is at a Halloween party and someone gives me it. Otherwise, forget it. I've never tried in drag either.
Cool. So I'm looking at a list. Oh yeah. So what one that I found earlier was just, the generalization that, men don't like to eat healthy. And, men hate salads. And that's kind of, salads are for girls. Give me man food, right? But
right. Yeah, the meat and potatoes. I like to chomp on my meat, right? Yeah.
But even, that seems less and less true, at least the people that I see as health and wellness has gotten more popular with vegan lifestyles and, non-MGO stuff. And I see just some males into that.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, there is a famous bodybuilder based here in Salt Lake who recently won like the sexiest vegan next door award, and totally blows lid off of this myth and this stereotype about men, especially bodybuilders, having to eat lots of meat and protein and everything else, all of this animal protein, in order to maintain these really awesome bodies. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, he's passionately vegan. And loves using his position as a bodybuilder to show that you can be vegan and a bodybuilder, that they are not mutually exclusive at all. So I think it's really cool.
Oh, another one, big one, all men are messy. And I have certainly I've met many messier women.
I have met women that are messier than a lot of men, that's for sure. In fact, I have had both my ridiculously obsessively compulsive clean periods, and I've had my times I've been crazy messy as well. I have gone to both ends of the spectrum, and now I'm kind of in a happy medium, where it's like if it's not too cluttery, too bad, I'm not going to get upset over it. But at the same time, I'm not going to drive myself into a frenzy over the fact that it's not clean either. Yeah.
All right. So Craig is saying stereotypes are lazy, really big, grand assumptions that keep you from engaging and getting to know someone. Yeah.
I agree.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you nailed that one.
Yeah, it's to make. It's prejudice and discrimination. Yep. Yeah, it's the tribal nature. We quickly want to identify people. Who's safe? Who can we talk to? And the path of least resistance is falling into stereotypes.
Exactly. Make an overgeneralization, and that way, I don't have to talk to them. I don't have to get to know them. I will say that I'm actually guilty of that myself. And that is, like, say, for instance, here's another one that could be applied to a lot of the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. They're all Republicans and they're all Trump supporters. Again, bullshit. I know plenty that fall into that description that are neither.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's funny to bring politics into it, just seeing different posts on Facebook, I'm constantly surprised, like, that person supports that person? Well, that doesn't fit my stereotype. And,
Yeah, exactly. And, every time that I hear somebody bringing up that name or whatever, I just go back to, what, that doesn't matter. And we can find ways to disagree agreeably.
Yeah.
So that's how our nation has survived as long as it has. Because we've always been able to find a way.
One of the interesting things about Trump is like how much he breaks down the stereotype of what a presidential candidate's supposed to be too. So
yes, and I actually like him for that reason. I'm not saying that I like him anything else that comes out of his mouth, but I really genuinely appreciate that he is breaking down all those stereotypes about what it is to be presidential.
Yeah, certainly making for an interesting campaign season, unlike any other.
It has been entertaining. Yeah. At the very least, it has been that.
And, let's see what's on the parade of stereotypes. Oh, we mentioned this kind of before the show, but that men are terrified of periods.
Yes, and we are talking not the punctuation mark.
I can take exclamation marks, but no periods. Yeah. No.
It's funny because I guess I've never really had to face that on a frequent basis myself. I've never been terrified of it, but I can honestly say with absolute certainty that if someone were to ask me to go to the store and get, sanitary napkins or whatever, I am happy to do so. So tampons, whatever, I'll go. I'll get them.
Good.
And if anybody out there is terrified or does get really squeamish about going and getting that stuff, just hire me. I'll go get it for you, and then you can, take it home and say that you got it. Okay.
Good. Yeah. Tell you should create that as a real service, because I'm not terrified of them happening, being in the house, but yeah, I'm still embarrassed as hell to go buy something, which makes no sense. Like, is someone going to think it's for me? Like, I don't know what the big fear is. What?
Right. Exactly. Again, it's that. I'm not, somehow it's not manly. Right. It's not manly to go do that. What's interesting is I have seen men at the store very comfortably shopping for in that aisle for those items. I've also seen men buying makeup for their girlfriends, and their girlfriends are right there. And the men are actually offering suggestions as to, no, that's not a good color for you. No, I think this would be better. They're engaged. And I've seen that a couple of times now, and I've been like, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, so that's another stereotype, that men aren't interested in that and interested in girly stuff, whatever that might mean and cover, right?
Craig brought up a great one. Men aren't romantic. Oh, yeah, exactly. To that one, I also say bullshit.
Every guy I ever met has been romantic on some level in at least one relationship in their life.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And that kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier, about that, guys only think about one thing, which is sex. And, they only are romantic if they think that they're going to score or whatever. No, not at all. Sometimes I just want to, because they love the idea of a very well-planned seduction. I mean, I personally know many men who love a nice, beautiful, romantic, even if it only results in cuddling, which is another stereotype, which you mentioned, is that men don't like to cuddle, even if it results just in cuddling, not spooning, cuddling, that somehow the night is a bust. No, not at all. And again, I would love to be able to get some guys on here with us sometime to talk about those stereotypes and how, give actual real life examples of how they bust those stereotypes and how it drives them crazy, and how, what the things that they do to not fall into this stereotype.
Yeah, I think, the notion that guys don't want to spoon and cuddle and that's, bad or girly and all that, a lot of that I feel like it comes from like sitcoms. An easy joke, and then that reinforces it, and
exactly.
And it doesn't serve anybody. So
no, exactly. And don't forget, when you're writing for a comedy and you have only a certain amount of time, your characters are inevitably going to end up being shallow anyway. And sitcoms certainly do help to serve and feed stereotypes a lot.
Yeah, too many people see entertainment and take it as that's how people really are, and that's how I should behave. But just not accurate.
Exactly, and that's especially true of reality TV.
The least real sort of programming there is. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. It's like what fabricated, BS or doing this time around.
Funny. And here's one that I don't know where this comes from. So taking photos annoys men. I've never heard that, experienced that.
Really? Okay, that's a new one to me. I guess it's a cultural thing. There might be cultures where that might be.
Yeah. So this is on the list I searched before the show for male stereotypes that men are sick of, and this was in this article. And I didn't. I should have paid attention.
Another good one. Men aren't good listeners.
Yeah. What? You talking to
me? Right. Now, if I get into one of my shiny squirrel moments, that might be true.
Right. So it could just be, perhaps your man is just easily distracted.
That's exactly right.
Or he's an excellent listener, just not to you. Right.
Right. Exactly. There might be a reason why they're not listening.
Yeah.
No, but and for those who may not be aware, the reason why I got the nickname Shiny Squirrel is because I literally am easily distracted by the proverbial shiny objects in squirrels. And I would say ever since I started doing Samuel and so forth, channeling Samuel, I've taken the whole shiny squirrel thing from entertainment to art form. So it's been an interesting experience, I'll say the least.
Now, when channeling, you certainly must be a good listener then.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. But boy, once I'm back to just me, different thing altogether. My head's still somewhere out there in the ethers. So I might actually fall into that stereotype a little bit, Craig.
Well, again, yeah. I mean, there's some truth in all of them. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. A nugget of truth,
Yeah, yeah. Because men aren't good listeners sometimes is true for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. But just saying all men can't listen. Well, that's just a fallacy.
Mm-hmm. That's a great one, Craig. Men aren't honest. Men are cheaters. Men are, yeah. I can say from my personal experience that honesty and integrity is absolutely the norm within society. The reason, to me, and this is the way I perceive it and the way I look at it, is the reason why that overgeneralization, that particular stereotype pops up is because it is so abnormal. It is so outside of the normal experience of most human beings for somebody to be dishonest that it become, that and it can be such a shock to a lot of people when something like that happens, that it then becomes like this big, broad thing, especially if it is caught in some, again, what we focus on expands. If it's in your field of attention and you're paying attention to it, you are going to experience it more frequently. And that's going to be true of all the stereotypes, I think, that, every time that you are going to repeat a stereotype, you're going to focus on the stereotype, that is going to be part of your experience, because that is exactly what you are going through. And we've got Andy, who has a very bad internet signal right now, but you can still hear us, can't you? I hope.
I can.
Okay, yeah. So you can hear me. We just can't see you right now. We just got a poor internet signal on you. Okay. Now this is a stereotype not about men, but just about just internet. The internet service is crappy. Okay, so Craig has let's see here, a joke. How do you know when a man is lying? His lips are moving.
Part of society does approve more of men being dishonest, right? To lie, cheat, and steal to get ahead in business or politics.
It's almost expected of certain professions. Yes, for instance, if you're a lawyer, you're supposed to misrepresent things. If you're a politician, it's just normal to lie. Yeah. But what's interesting is I was hearing something a little earlier today about how. Oh, there you are. Now you're back. So, how, for instance, the quote unquote establishment of the Republican Party and the establishment media and so forth, the mainstream media, that nobody cares about what the mainstream media says, even though they're constantly calling Donald Trump out on all of the quote-unquote lies that he's saying, because people do no longer trust the establishments anymore. So they really don't care about what's being said, because the establishment, mainstream media and so forth, falls into that stereotype of being dishonest and only having an agenda, one agenda, and only wanting to protect the interest of the elite and so forth. And so, again, there's another stereotype that we can speak to, but not necessarily dispel. One of these times, we really should probably have a bunch of episodes about a specific stereotype and find somebody who can talk about how they have dispelled it.
Yeah, because that's the fun of living, of being a man, is disproving all the male stereotypes that perhaps you grew up with or thought you had to be. But I love stereotypes wrong.
Absolutely. In fact, Craig, talk to Anella and see if there is a particular stereotype that drives her crazy and how her experience with you actually dispels that stereotype. And we'll have her on as a guest, even you as well. And I think that would be a blast to have the two of you on. and so that way we can dispel some of those stereotypes. So
Cool.
I guess we've got another show coming.
Good.
Right?
Hey, maybe that's next week.
Could be, right?
Cool. Because one thing I've never admitted, one of the most often played songs on my iPod, "Oh What a Beautiful Morning" by Ethel Merman. possibly one of the gayest songs.
Right?
But like that, I freaking love that song.
I love it. but yeah, because it represents how you feel about life. Yeah.
It's a great one to work out to. I love that song.
Yeah. So that's perfect.
Yeah. And then what else is on this list? Yeah, that men hate intellectual movies. I guess that kind of goes to the cultural notion that you had shared earlier.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, if things aren't blowing up, we don't care.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I will say that I really enjoyed going to see Batman v Superman over the weekend. So it was good.
Were there women in the audience?
There were
Yeah.
actually.
Right.
In fact, there's one gal who's sitting next to me that I only remember her sitting next to me because she got up several times during the movie to go out. She really had a very close relationship with her cigarette pack, and I could tell because when she came back in, I could smell it. So, funny, Craig. I only don't like chick flicks. Alrighty.
Because I don't even know what that means anymore.
Supposedly a chick flick. I think that the stereotypical definition of a chick flick is one that's a bit of a tearjerker. It's a romance that women just love. It's like, all the tear works.
So because I saw when Bridesmaids first came out, I saw people, oh no, that's a chick flick. I'm not going to that. And so women aren't. If women are emotional, it's a chick flick. If women are funny, it's a chick flick. Like I don't know.
If it appeals more to women than men, I guess it's a chick flick. But I know, at least certainly from what I've heard, and the guys that I've talked to talking about quote unquote chick flicks, it is the stereotypical chick flick is the one that is the really emotional, sappy, quote unquote sappy romance. That's a chick flick. So maybe we should look it up on the Urban Dictionary.
Yeah. We'll have Craig put his list of favorite chick flicks together.
There you go.
Movie night. So let's see. Yeah, we hit. Men are embarrassed of couple activities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy that at all. If you enjoy the couple you're in, I don't think there are some activities that are off limits.
Exactly. I have to say to that one that. Again, I just run in weird circles. I don't know. But all of the men I know love being in couples activities because they love the relationships that they are in. And you made a really, really good point there that if you don't like a couple's activity, more than likely you're not going to be liking your relationship. So go back to being single or find a relationship that you do enjoy.
Yeah. And so Craig's asking about PDA, public displays of affection. That men are against that. And
get a room, right?
And I think that's more from jealousy, right? I wish that was me getting that public display,
Exactly. And I think that goes also to the very prudish nature of our puritanical roots here in the United States. That somehow showing your affection for somebody is somehow wrong or whatever. Now, granted, if somebody is like practically, having sex in public, I mean, that may make a lot of people uncomfortable. There are some who want to stand around and watch, I'm sure.
I was at a concert once where the people in front of me started having sex. Yeah. And security had to come in. Security's trying to walk them out while they are attached to each other. It was very interesting to see happen. But I've seen that. I can't remember what band that was.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It's very bizarre.
A friend of mine in Toronto was telling me about a time at the stadium there in Toronto. There's a hotel that faces the stadium. Those rooms that look down into the stadium are highly desirable. And one time there was a game that was going on, and nobody's watching the game because apparently a couple was like so into the game that it just turned them on, and they didn't bother to draw the curtains or anything.
Yeah, I believe that was a Red Sox Toronto Blue Jays game. I've heard that story here. So
yeah, exactly. No, my friend was at the game.
Yeah.
He told me about it. I'm like, wow. I can't remember who was playing. Just the story. You know?
Yeah. Funny. It's all out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So yeah, let's. I believe that all men like couple activities. They eat healthy. They love girl talk. They love buying tampons. They don't cheat. They like chick flicks. You know, it just make up whatever list you freaking want.
Exactly. Make your own rules.
Yeah.
And you get to define what a real man is like. And if there are things that you do like, and your buddies are going to rib you over it, well, then have the, to use a crude term, have the cojones, have the balls to actually step forward. Balls out and say, hey, you know what, guys, deal with it.
Yeah,
I like this. Okay.
Because stereotypes can serve and help you to categorize people and things, but then be willing to discover that there's more. But I think the most damaging stereotypes are the ones that you put on yourself.
Absolutely, yes.
And you say, well, I can't do that. I'm a guy. I can't do these things. I can't be interested in that.
Right.
Screw that.
There's something wrong with me. Exactly. That comes from a place of judgment. That comes from a place of letting other people define you as an individual. Yeah. When you can step up and, to use the real man feel, when you can define, step up and say, I'm a real man and I feel I'm a real man and I get to decide what I like in my life. I'm not going to let anybody make those decisions for me or define who I am as an individual and as a man. That's when you know that you have stepped into that space.
All right. So we'll put out the intention for some special episodes. We'll have real men bust stereotypes.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to those ones.
Cool.
So, and we'll reach out to you, Craig, to know when you guys can coordinate your schedules. There you go. Perfect. Craig says, I'll come and drag.
That would be awesome.
That would be funny.
We'll have to have boa night. Yeah. Cool.
Really. As uncomfortable as I would feel wearing a boa, because I love to dispel those myths about gay men, I will show up in a boa if we decided to do a boa night. Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Well, on those fine notes, we've been going for almost 40 minutes. So just to keep these nice and tight, I gonna say thanks for joining us, and we'll be back live next Tuesday, April 5th. And maybe it'll be boa night. We'll keep it as a surprise.
Exactly. Well, we'll surprise you guys. Absolutely. Who knows what we're going to do.
Awesome. So thanks everyone for watching. Craig, thanks for all the comments from Craig. Thank you, Appio.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andy.
And go bust some stereotypes this week.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Have fun, guys. Take care.